Stop eating these fruits. Even if you think they're healthy, they might be damaging your legs from the inside. It's all from the nutritious food you put on your plate every day. You try to take care of your health. You add a banana to your oatmeal. You snack on grapes. Instead of candy, you choose sweet fruit. You're following all the rules. But by evening, your legs feel heavy, as if you've just run a marathon. They ache and throb, and at night you get cramps, as if something is breaking inside. You think, maybe it's just fatigue. Or could it be the very thing you thought was helping you? Here's something no one tells you. Some of the most popular fruits can contribute to inflammation, overload your joints, and harm your blood vessels. This is especially true after the age of 60, when your metabolism starts to change. Your body may no longer handle excess fructose, water, and acids effectively. What was considered healthy at 30 could be a direct cause of leg pain today. In this video, you will learn which 5 fruits you should consider cutting out or significantly reducing if you experience varicose veins, swelling, leg pain, or that heavy feeling in your legs, like they're buzzing. Most importantly, I'll show you delicious and safe alternatives that can help you feel lighter. By the end of this video, you'll learn how a simple fruit swap can reduce swelling, improve circulation, relieve heaviness in your legs, and even ease joint pain. And all this without pills or procedures, just through your choices. Stay with me, because one of the most diet-friendly fruits can actually cause bloating in your legs. You'll be surprised at how easy it is to replace it with something that's both tastier and better for your body. Share this video with your loved ones, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Many people consider grapes to be a healthy fruit. They're light, juicy, and packed with antioxidants. However, especially for those over 60, they can do more harm than good, particularly for the legs. Why is that? It's all due to the hidden amounts of fructose and glucose. Just one small bunch of grapes contains nearly 20 grams of sugar, which can lead to fluid retention, increased strain on the veins, and heightened inflammation in the joints. If you suffer from varicose veins, have a tendency to swell, or experience heaviness in your legs, eating grapes, even in moderation, might worsen your condition. What's happening in your body? The high sugar content in grapes quickly enters the bloodstream, triggering spikes in insulin and raising glucose levels. As people age, their metabolism slows down, and excess sugar isn't processed efficiently. Instead, it gets stored, partly as fat, and partly as interstitial fluid. What does this lead to? It results in swelling, pressure on capillaries, and blood stagnation. Additionally, the fructose in grapes stimulates the liver to produce more uric acid, which can trigger inflammation in the leg joints, especially if a person has arthritis or gout. The liver becomes overloaded, the blood thickens, and the legs feel heavier. Here's a vivid example. Robert, 73 years old, always considered grapes a light snack, enjoying them in the evenings, especially during hot weather. However, to his surprise, in recent months he started experiencing swelling in his ankles. Even after a walk, he felt heaviness in his legs. When his doctor suggested cutting out grapes and other high-sugar fruits for a while, Robert was skeptical. But after just 10 days, he noticed his legs felt lighter, his shoes weren't tight anymore, and night cramps had disappeared. Later, he admitted, "I never thought something as small as grapes could have such an effect." So, what can you substitute them with? If you're craving something sweet and juicy, it's better to replace grapes with berries that have a low glycemic index, such as blueberries, cranberries, or lingonberries. They're delicious, rich in antioxidants, and don't cause sharp spikes in blood sugar or overload your blood vessels. Berries are especially great in the morning with oatmeal or cottage cheese. And if you're looking for a snack, grab an apple with the skin on. It keeps you fuller for longer and contains more fiber. The key is not to deprive yourself of everything, but to make wise choices. This fruit is one of the most popular in the world, but you should avoid it. It's the banana. Soft, convenient, and filling, they are often recommended as a healthy snack. However, few people know that for older adults, especially those with leg issues, bananas can be a real trap. They contain a high amount of easily digestible carbohydrates, starch, and sugars, which can quickly spike blood glucose levels. Moreover, bananas can contribute to fluid retention and may exacerbate inflammatory processes in the body, especially if you're already dealing with varicose veins, swelling, or joint pain. Why are bananas so harmful for you? After the age of 60, the body's sensitivity to sugar changes. The pancreas operates more slowly, and insulin doesn't work as effectively, meaning that any sudden spike in sugar can trigger micro-inflammations. Bananas, especially ripe ones, are rich in fructose, glucose, and starch. These are fast carbs that don't provide lasting satiety, but create an excess of energy that the body has nowhere to direct. This sugar overload binds water in the tissues, increasing swelling, and also stimulates the deposition of uric acid salts, which can be particularly painful for the joints, especially the knees and ankles. Listen carefully to a short story. Martha, 69 years old, always considered bananas a safe food and ate them every day, in her oatmeal, before going for a walk, and sometimes in the evening. But at some point she started waking up with swollen toes, and by the evening, her legs felt heavy. When a nutritionist analyzed her diet, it turned out she was eating up to 23 bananas a day. After cutting them out and switching to berries, apples, and pears, her swelling decreased, and her joints became more flexible. Martha admitted, "I never thought such a friendly fruit could harm me so quietly." Do you eat bananas? Share in the comments what fruits you usually enjoy. So, what can you replace bananas with? If you love sweet fruits and don't want to give them up entirely, try swapping bananas for baked apples, fresh pears, or a bit of persimmon. These fruits contain more fiber and slowly digestible sugars, which reduces the strain on your pancreas and doesn't cause sudden water retention. Even better, combine fruits with some protein, a little cottage cheese, nuts, or yogurt. This helps soften the glycemic response and avoid spikes in sugar and swelling. You don't have to eliminate everything. It's important to understand how and in what form to eat. But here's something that might shock you. This seemingly harmless summer favorite, the watermelon, can actually trigger hidden heaviness, strain your leg veins, and exacerbate conditions you may already be suffering from. The truth is that despite its high water content, watermelon can negatively affect your legs, especially if you have varicose veins, chronic swelling, or issues with fluid balance. Why? Watermelon contains a significant amount of natural sugars, and its diuretic effect doesn't always work the way we think it does. In some cases, it can have the opposite effect, leading to reactive water retention and increased heaviness by the evening. Here are the hidden mechanisms at play. After age 65, the kidneys function more slowly, and the body becomes more sensitive to sudden fluctuations in fluid. When we consume a lot of watermelon, we're not just getting water, we're putting stress on the kidneys, blood vessels, and heart. Watermelon is high in fructose, which, similar to grapes, can raise uric acid levels and trigger inflammatory processes in the joints. Additionally, it can deplete potassium, disrupting the electrolyte balance, which may lead to cramps and weakness in the legs. Instead of the expected lightness, watermelon can leave you feeling like your legs are weighed down with heaviness and fatigue. Harry, 75 years old, ate watermelon almost every day in the summer, believing it helped cleanse his body. However, each day it became harder for him to walk, his legs felt heavy, and even his fingers swelled by the evening. He thought the problem was the heat, but his doctor advised him to temporarily cut out watermelon. Harry was surprised, but agreed. Just 4 days later, the swelling noticeably decreased, and by the end of the week, his nighttime cramps disappeared. He admitted, "I never thought that this sweet juice could make it so hard to move." So, what should you do if you're craving something juicy and light? It's better to opt for cucumbers, small amounts of melon or berries, like blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. They provide hydration without causing a sharp spike in sugar levels or overloading the kidneys. Even better, drink plain lukewarm water throughout the day, taking small sips instead of gulping it down. This will help gently maintain your hydration balance, improve circulation, and reduce stress on your legs. Remember the key point. Even watery fruits can carry a hidden load if your body is not able to handle excesses as efficiently anymore. Here's another common item found on the tables of elderly people. Some consume them as a healthy alternative to candy, while others use them to boost energy and strengthen their bones. However, behind the natural sweetness of dates lies a real threat for the legs, especially if you already have issues with joints, veins, or blood sugar levels. Dates contain an extremely high concentration of natural sugars and fructose, as well as a high glycemic index. This means that after consuming just a few, blood sugar levels can spike dramatically, leading to inflammatory processes, particularly in the knees and ankles. If you eat dates, especially in combination with other carbohydrates like bread, porridge, or fruits, your body gets a surge of sugar. Metabolism slows down in older adults, and excess glucose doesn't get processed efficiently. This causes insulin spikes, activates inflammatory molecules in the blood, disrupts the water-salt balance, and increases stress on the kidneys and joints. Dates are particularly dangerous for those with osteoarthritis, gout, or varicose veins. They can trigger inflammation, swelling, and a feeling of heaviness in the legs. Even if you consume them in small amounts, the effects can accumulate. Listen carefully to this story. Judith, 71 years old, loved dates. She ate 45 of them a day instead of cookies and chocolate. But month after month, she began to feel a burning sensation in her knees and aching joints, especially in the morning. At first, she thought it was just the weather. But when she visited a rheumatologist, he asked about her diet and immediately noticed the dates. After 2 weeks without them, her pain decreased. She found it easier to walk and even slept better. "I thought I was eating healthily, but it turns out I was just feeding the inflammation," she said later. So what should you do if you're craving something sweet? If you want something rich and sugary, it's better to swap out dates for dried fruits with a lower glycemic index, like apricots, prunes, or a little bit of figs. Even better is a small handful of berries, especially if they're frozen, or a couple of squares of dark chocolate with nuts. And most importantly, avoid eating sweets on an empty stomach. Pair them with protein or fiber to reduce the glycemic load. Remember, even healthy sweets can be harmful if they're not suitable for your age, joint condition, and metabolism. And now, pay attention. This fruit, often associated with health and vitality, could actually be one of the hidden culprits behind inflammation and pain in the legs. Pineapple isn't as harmless as it seems. It can irritate the joints, increase inflammation, and worsen chronic conditions in the body, especially after the age of 60. Pineapple is typically linked to something bright, refreshing, and healthy. It's commonly added to salads, consumed in diets, and used as a digestive aid. While it is indeed a tropical source of vitamins, it's not suitable for everyone. For older adults, pineapple may have a completely different effect. It can exacerbate joint inflammation, irritate the stomach lining, cause blood sugar spikes, and lead to a feeling of heaviness in the legs. What's the issue? It all comes down to its high acidity and the presence of bromelain, an active enzyme that, in large amounts, can be harsh on a weakened body. Pineapple can be quite contradictory. It contains substances that theoretically help reduce swelling, but at the same time, it stimulates excessive production of stomach acid, irritates mucous membranes, and disrupts the acid-base balance. For older individuals, this can lead to inflammation, worsening gout, pain in the knees and ankles, and nighttime cramps. This effect is particularly pronounced when consuming fresh pineapple on an empty stomach or in large portions. And while many tout its anti-inflammatory properties, in practice, it all depends on the state of the gastrointestinal tract, kidneys, and joints, especially vulnerable in older age, as you know all too well. Here's a real-life example. Frank, 70 years old, switched to a healthy diet and started eating pineapple every day after breakfast. After a few weeks, he began to complain of aching knees, especially in the morning, and a burning sensation in his stomach. He attributed it all to his age and the humid weather, until a gastroenterologist suggested he temporarily eliminate pineapple from his diet. Within just 5 days, the pain started to subside, and after 2 weeks, he felt lighter in his stomach and even started sleeping better. I had no idea that fruits could irritate joints too. Now I pay closer attention to what my body is telling me, he shared. If you enjoy tangy and juicy fruits, consider swapping pineapple for a green apple, kiwi, in small amounts, a bit of grapefruit, or a slice of pear. These options are gentler, less irritating to the mucous membranes, and less likely to cause inflammation. You can also pair sour fruits with something neutral, like oatmeal, yogurt, or cottage cheese. This helps to soften the acidity and makes breakfast not only delicious, but also safer for your blood vessels and joints. The key is to remember that even the healthiest foods may not be suitable in certain situations, especially if your body has been sending signals for a while. Let's summarize. Try to remember this, and for better retention, write it down in your health journal or in the comments. We just discussed 5 popular fruits that, despite their healthy reputation, can quietly but surely worsen the condition of your legs, increasing swelling, causing joint inflammation, disrupting metabolism, and provoking pain. These fruits are grapes, bananas, watermelon, dates, and pineapple. They are foods we've grown up with and consider harmless. However, as we age, our bodies change, and what was once fine can start to cause harm. This doesn't mean you need to give up fruits entirely. It's important to understand which ones are right for you and which ones you should reduce or replace. After all, nutrition is not just about taste. It can be both medicine and poison. If you choose the right foods for your age and condition, your legs will thank you. Pain will lessen, swelling will decrease, and your stride will become easier. It might seem like, come on, it's just fruit. But that simplicity can be deceptive. especially if you have chronic conditions like varicose veins, arthritis, or diabetes. You don't need to be a doctor. Just start listening to your body. Pay attention to how you feel after eating certain foods. Sometimes, a small change can lead to significant relief. Try removing one of these fruits for just 10 to 14 days. Replace it with a less sugary, more neutral alternative, and take note of the difference. Your legs, your body, and your mornings will notice it first. Changes won't take a year. They'll start showing up in just a few days. 131. Imagine waking up to find that your legs no longer feel heavy. You walk easily to the window, feeling supported and stable. Your joints are pain-free, your shoes fit comfortably, and movement brings you joy once again. This transformation is all thanks to the attention you pay to what you put on your plate. A simple act of self-care.